Welcome to Applied Blockchain Technologies. My name is Dr. James Mully. I'm your instructor here at the European Business University and the European Business Institute. Our topic today is a topic that has gained a lot of attention. And we've begun our conversation, if you recall, with understanding the role of the digital ledger and the emergence of the triple ledger, which is the digital ledger being coupled with cryptography. What we also said is that it's important for us to understand that blockchain enabled the formation of societies in a different form. Blockchain in its origins was nothing more than a transactional record. So these records are the ones that truly did enable societies to come together. And this original form was the single ledger, which we said in ancient history or in early civilization, was able to ensure trust. Now, this trust is important, but there was also in the exchange that was inherent in early economies or early marketplaces, the use of a transactional value. That transactional value that I'm referring to is money. Okay, so before we talk about the role of central bank digital currencies in today's economy, we need to also come to appreciate the concept of money and specifically its digital transformation, just as we've had the transformation of the single ledger to the double ledger to the triple ledger with cryptography. Well, money, the concept of money and in its own form has also gone through transformations. And the implication of this shift is it's quite important to understand. So there are some important fundamental attributes that we have to appreciate in terms of what money is. And money has taken form in various shapes, sizes, but what we do know that it does have various qualities. The first quality is that money is considered a storage of value. So it maintains its value over time and allows people to save or postpone their spending without losing any value. So this is important. The other aspect here to also understand is that money is considered a unit of account. So it provides a common measure for valuing services, and therefore this economic calculation and comparison that this unit of account provides is important and possible. The third aspect is that it's a medium of exchange. In other words, a currency. It's a medium of exchange, meaning that it's widely accepted for the exchange of goods and services, and it facilitates trade without the complexities of what we know as the barter system. So money is often represented as we know it by a country's legal authority or the state. So it's backed by the authority of the issuing government, which is usually the central bank. And this is what we're coming to. So when we look at money and we understand that this is its form, we can see where cryptocurrency and tokens play a role, because the question becomes, do cryptocurrencies or tokens have these three qualities? Can they be stores of value? Can they be units of count? And can they be widely accepted as a means or medium of exchange? When we look at also our understanding of money, we have to also come to appreciate that there's been a digital transformation of money. Before we come to cryptocurrencies, let's look at the money itself. Money has come in the form of shells. So they come in the form of paper or cloth. It's also come in the form of stones. It's also been, as a medium of exchange, come in the form of paper. Now, the conversion to digital form means that there's an electronic representation of these traditional currencies. If you were to look at the history of money and you look at the depictions that we have uh, available to us, it's quite astounding that all of these different um, forms that we have seen historically accepted as money have eventually transformed themselves to be also recognized as digital. So we go from gold to silver to diamonds, whatever you have, to minting on gold, minting on silver, minting on copper, to printing on paper, and now we have to digital conversion. So this conversion process, like I said, it involves the digitization of these attributes that we said are part of what money is, but it also ensures security, this digital form. It also does allow for ease of transactions. And the question is whether it also maintains value. So there are different types of digital money. There's the digital currencies that can be issued, are issued by central banks, or privately. In other words, digital forms of money are issued, as we've seen, where you can mint your own token, or you can burn and mint your own stable coin. So the digital currencies can be issued with that legal authority. Electronic money, let me just come back to understanding that there's the private, and then there's, of course, the central bank, which issues currencies, digital and non-digital. So the digitized version of the central bank money is referred to as digital fiat currency. And it's used in bank accounts and online transactions and so on. And there's been a growing interest in digital money. So let's focus on the digital money that has been issued by central banks and not digital money that's been issued privately, which is what we have been discussing in the form of cryptocurrencies. When we look at the role and we understand that existing financial systems are behind or are accepting what has become the innovation in payments and financial services. Well, central banks, therefore, have started to explore central bank digital currencies as a complement to minted and printed fiat currency. But the digital currency has always existed. And if we understand that the digital money's role in enhancing payment systems has brought about efficiency and inclusion, well, this is also very important to understand. So what is the role of, what are the implications of digital money, just that by itself? Well, when it comes to monetary policy, digital money in itself can offer new tools, and we'll talk about what monetary policy specifically is. Digital money can offer new tools for the implementation of monetary policy, especially in effectiveness. Um, Digital money can also change the way financial markets operate through faster transactions and more integrated global markets, which is also very interesting. Security is very important because even though digital money systems are prone to hacking, fraud, and different operational risks, we know that this can also be something easily or more easily traceable and trackable. Transactions, however, because there are concerns when it comes to digital money, we're not talking about digital cryptocurrencies yet, but digital transactions can be traced in and of themselves. So this raises concerns about the potential for surveillance, right, where governments are monitoring your activity. Now, when it comes to digital currencies, this could also disrupt traditional and has also, we've seen disruption in traditional banking systems and especially also the financial markets because there's been a large scale shift from bank deposits to digital currencies. And this shift has reduced the role of central commercial banks in the financial system. It has affected their business models and also their profitability. So this evolution of money into a digital form is a very significant financial um, milestone in financial history. And it has, however, brought about efficiency, innovation, inclusion, but there are challenges and risks in terms of security, privacy, and of course, as we said, financial stability. What I'd like to do is take a look at um, what we also understand as the scale of digital virtual currencies. The full extent, first of all, in the misuse of digital currencies, and this is not digital cryptocurrencies, but we're just talking about the digital currencies themselves. It's challenging to quantify because there's so much that is out there. Um, as of 2020, the market value of digital currencies, as we know them, cryptocurrencies here now, surpassed over $1 trillion worldwide. And this has been something that in the private sector has also been a concern. But what about digital currencies in the centralized or central bank controlled domain? Well, it's important to understand that the total value of global currency in circulation is estimated at approximately $6.6 trillion in currency that has been minted and or printed, total global currency. While if we consider the total financial services in terms of global trade, this has amounted to approximately 100 in 2021 to approximately $167 trillion. This again compared to $6 trillion. And the total value of goods and services in global trade in that same year, 2021, is valued at approximately 28 trillion, right, dollars. And again, in comparison to or against the 6 trillion minted and printed. So in other words, the rest of this representation is in digital virtual currencies that are being managed and controlled, of course, by central banks. What is also more astounding is the total value of financial derivatives in global trade. In 2021, it's estimated at $596 trillion. Now, that's $596 trillion in virtual financial transactions. And again, in comparison to $6.6 trillion in terms of minted and or printed currency. So it's important to see that the value of digital currencies, while 6.6 trillion is substantial, it's still a fraction of the total value of the virtual digital currencies that are used in exchange. So the question, of course, here that we look at is there are various instruments that are available, such as anti-money laundering laws to mitigate the risks associated with not only cryptocurrency, but also virtual currencies. The rise of digital currencies and their market value, it just reflects the potential implications that are going to be witnessed for traditional and banking and financial services in terms of the shift in this financial landscape. As far as the future goes, the market continues to grow and it continues to evolve. And it's going to be necessary to balance innovation with risk management. in order to ensure that there's a sustainable integration of digital virtual currencies into the global financial system. So what exactly is this integration going to look like? Well, the money flower here is a visual taxonomy developed by the Bank for International Settlements, and it's here. Its usefulness here is to classify different types of money. So this framework is used to understand this money in the context of the globalist economy, especially when we look at emerging digital currencies and their impact on traditional money systems. So it's a flower because you can see that there's a petal structure and so on, but they're key components in this money structure. So the central bank money versus private money is important to understand first, because one of the primary distinctions here is between money issued by central banks and money issued by private entities. In other words, private money. So central bank includes both physical and digital virtual balances that are held at the central bank. And private money, of course, refers to those digital currencies or physical notes used by private entities. Widely accepted versus widely restricted here, or accessible here, or widely accessible versus restricted access. This basically categorizes money based on who can access it. Some forms of money, like bank deposits or physical cash, are accessible by the public, but reserves held by banks have more restricted access. And then you have digital versus the physical form, token-based form, and that's something we'll be talking about soon. This is money that can also be categorized based on whether it exists in a digital or physical form. And when we talk about this here, physical form includes banknotes or tokens, and while digital forms is electronic money, from bank deposits, right, to cryptocurrencies. Centralized versus decentralized, of course, here. This looks exactly at the traditional banking system through a centralized permissioned process, while decentralized is without a central authority. So blockchain technology that we've also become familiar with. The other thing to understand is this peer-to-peer versus intermediate. And this form of money allows for peer-to-peer transactions without intermediaries, which is also a topic we'll be looking at, like many cryptocurrencies, while others require intermediaries like banks or bank processes. The other point here is token-based, right? Token-based, basically token-based versus account-based. So money can be classified based on whether it's token-based, like physical cash, or account-based, like bank deposits. So the money flower here is a really helpful tool to understand this evolving landscape of money, because we see this interaction in terms of all the the tech advances that are taking place. And of course, the emergence of cryptocurrencies and, as you see here, central bank digital tokens and so on. It also helps to highlight this diversity and complexity of what's in circulation, right? And then with this, we can look at the characteristics and see the implications on the financial system. We continue next with looking closely at central bank digital currencies.